Welcome back. I'm Brother Mark, and we'd like to welcome you to the bonus section of Is There Inaccuracy in How We Perceive Scripture? We will be covering a wide range of quick topics as a way for you to be spurred on for your own future studies and enrichment. So, let's get into it. Transliteration. Transliteration is something that we all have to deal with when we're truly studying the Word. When a word is transliterated, it loses its original meaning and retains only the form of the original. It may sound okay, but it does not communicate the actual intent of the word. So when we bring up a statement about transliterated words, you will now know what we are referring to. Let's look at the word for rib in Genesis 2 as an example. Its actual meaning in Hebrew is side. Rib is a different Hebrew word in other places. This then indicates far more material was used than only a rib bone. Look at the difference of these two Hebrew words on your screen now. As you see, the word side in Hebrew is the word teslah. Teslah. The word for rib in Hebrew is the word reeb. Reeb. When we transliterate a word, it loses and many times confuses the true meaning of the original word. Let us look at another example. The unspeakable name, Lord. The original meaning is obscured. When we look at the Hebrew word, it's Yod, He, Vav, He, Yahuwah or Yahweh. We give these two words only as common pronunciations. The Hebrew letters actually indicate exactly of whom is being spoken of. Yod, the arm and the hand, He, behold, Vav, the nail, and He, behold. None of their transliterated names are accurate in their meanings. Only the Hebrew letters and words declare directly who He is. The Yudim in error obscured His name for what they thought were good reasons. Yet His word declares over and over again to know His name and to declare His name forever. Psalms chapter 72 verse 17, King James Version. His name shall endure forever. His name shall be continued as long as the sun, and men shall be blessed in Him. All nations shall call Him blessed. Isaiah chapter 12, verses 2 through 5, ISV with Hebrew meaning. Look, Yah, yes, Yah is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For Yahuwah is my strength and my song, and He has become my salvation. You will draw water joyfully from the wells of salvation, and you will say at that time, give thanks to Yahuwah, call on His name, make known His actions among the nations, proclaim that His name is exalted. Sing praises to Yahuwah because He has acted gloriously, being made known in all the world. Does this sound like our Yah wishes to hide His name or have it broadcast everywhere, so all will know who He is? Yahushua's name in the Father's name. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 through 22, King James Version. Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. Yahuwah is the Father's name. Yahushua is the Son's name, bearing the name of the Father. John chapter 5, verse 43, ISV. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not accept me. Yet if another man comes in his own name, you will accept him. Yahuwah Shah is the root of the two words. The true Messiah's name is short for Yahuwah is salvation, or Yahuwah saves. Luke chapter 19, verse 9, ISV with Hebrew meaning. And Yeshua said unto him, This day is salvation come to this house, forasmuch as he also is a son of Abraham. Yahushua was stating a truth and a pun, because salvation came to his house. Yahushua came to Zacchaeus' house. His name is salvation. Do you see here how the transliterated words used for his name have obscured and removed the meaning of his true Hebrew name? Actual Hebrew name, Yahushua, means Yah is salvation. Iesus in the Greek, the original meaning's obscured. Isis, Latin, original meaning obscured. Jesus, English, original meaning obscured. The English word Jesus is only about 500 years old. Merriam-Webster, transliterate, a verb. Transliterated, transliterating, to represent or spell in the characters of another alphabet. Example, the Russian letter R is usually transliterated in English as Ya or Ia. Translate, a verb, to turn into one's own or another language. To transfer or turn from one set of symbols into another. To express in different terms and especially different words. Do I need to know Hebrew to be able to read and understand Scripture? We wish to make a simple statement here from our own experience, and we will give some further statements and examples as we continue. Each of us here have studied and started our faith walks with the KJV Bible and have learned many truths with it. There is enough credibility in our English KJV ISV Bibles to learn what you need to know for a basic start of salvation and who our Yah is and what he wants us to be. Unfortunately, they all have removed the Yuadim names and much of its cultural flavor and truth. And in our eyes, this was not necessary. When we learn the truth and continue to use the translated or the transliterated form, it becomes a disservice to our Yah, his kingdom, and family, which includes all true believers and followers. We are constantly learning and growing in our relationship and knowledge of him, and study daily to uncover the fullness of our Yah. We also want to state that as the Ruach gives us understanding and his truth is revealed to us, we have and will change our views as needed. This fits with our understanding of constant growth and learning as a believer in Yahushua. So let us now proceed into the deeper discussion about translations and the Hebrew Scriptures. As we have just shown, whenever a literary work is translated or transliterated from one language to another, a lot of the content will be, as the old saying goes, lost in translation. You cannot make an argument that a translated or transliterated work provides better insight than the original text of the language. Another aspect is often overlooked is the cultural perspective of a people and their words. For instance, the word rain means one thing to a farmer and something very different to a traveler on vacation. The Hebrews lived in a nomadic culture which views the world very differently than our modern Western culture. It is important to also realize that the modern Hebrew language has also been westernized for their culture of today. Ancient scriptural Hebrew is what we focus on to gain a more direct meaning and understanding of Scripture. With that being said, let's look at a couple of ancient Hebrew words and their meanings. Shalom. Shalom's letters meaning destroys the authority attached to chaos. Let's look at the letters that make up this word. The shin represents two front teeth and can mean sharp, eat, consume, separate, or destroy. The lamed is a picture of a shepherd's staff. The shepherd used the staff to exercise authority over the sheep to direct or lead them. It can mean teach, lead, yoke, move forward, or authority. The vav represents a tent peg or nail and means to secure or hook, but it can also simply mean peg or nail. The mem illustrates water or waves. As a nomadic people, the Hebrews did not understand the waves or waters of the ocean, so the letter came to mean chaos, mighty, or blood. Our next example is the English word righteous and its true Hebrew word and meaning. Sadiq. The ancient letters of this word means a person whose life supports, safeguards, and stays on the pathway to good deeds. They are always on the horizon. You will then be Sadiq, a person who is righteous, walking the correct path. The letter Zadi represents life or desire. The letter Dalet represents a pathway. The letter Yod represents a deed. The letter Kuf represents a sun on the horizon, or to be behind or to support. These letters then mean a life on the pathway with good deeds, always on the horizon. Walking the correct path comes from faith in Messiah Yahushua. We accept him and his blood as our one and only answer. Then he gives us peace with him and an eternal relationship, empowering us to walk in his correct path. One is not on the path simply by believing in it. Owning a printed map and believing that the map leads you somewhere does not take you to that place. It is only when you walk on the roads illustrated by the map that you go where you need to. Zadi is that. To be on the path is to have conscious, awakened experience of the spiritual truth. Merely having read about it or studied any religion, the map, is not the same as to have walked and talked with Yah. The word Sadi means to be on the path, to be walking it, to be doing it, not just believe in it or read it, think about it or talk about it, but to do it. So being on the path, Zadi, you can reach the Kuf and be united with it. Zadi plus Kuf, Zadik. That kuf at the end of sadi is the entrance into a major initiation. In Hebrew, the righteous one is the one who is sadiq, to be on the path of initiation and living. The Hebrew language is an awesome and simple one, yet a very deep one as well. Let us each fix our eyes on Messiah Yahushua and walk his path. Concrete thinking is reasoning based on what you can see, hear, feel, and experience in the present moment. It's sometimes called literal thinking because it focuses on the exact meaning of things. A concrete thinker will think of specific steps in a task and how they'll perform it, unconcerned about anything beyond the assigned task. A scriptural thinker will want to know the why behind the task as well as the direct meaning. They will also strive to enact the 4 levels of the Torah we have just presented in the previous Part 4 presentation. Full and concrete perception is the key to understanding. Here are some examples for our edification. The word law that you read in your English Bible is actually the Hebrew word in the scriptures, Torah. The word Torah in ancient Hebrew pictographs is Tav, which is the sign or the cross, Vav, which is the hook or the nail, Resh, which is the head, first, or man, Hey equals what comes from or behold. It means what comes from the man nailed to the cross. Wow! Yahushua in the Old Covenant writings and the word Torah itself. This is amazing. It is derived from the root Hebrew word Yahra, an archery term meaning to point, throw, cast, shoot, to direct, teach, or instruct. So Torah is the point or direct teaching or instructions. This is also, by the way, what the first 5 books of Scripture are called. Who is the living Torah? Yahushua, the way, the truth, and the life. Psalm 119, verse 1, ISV with Hebrew meaning. How blessed are those whose life is blameless, who walk in the Torah of Yahuwah. This is the way. Psalm 119, 142, ISV. Your righteousness is an eternal righteousness, and your instruction is true. Well, this is the truth. Psalm 19, verse 7, ISV with Hebrew meaning. The Torah of Yahuwah is perfect, restoring life. The testimony of Yahuwah is steadfast, making foolish people wise. The life. Now for John 14, verses 6 through 7, ISV with Hebrew meaning. Yahushua told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you have known me, you will also know my Father. From now on, you know him and have seen him. Proverbs 4, verse 2, ISV. I give you sound teaching, so do not abandon my instructions. Proverbs 4, 4, ISV. He taught me and told me, let your heart fully embrace what I have to say. Keep my commandments and live. And now for some other examples. The word kill used in the English Bible, for example, in the 10 Commandments, is actually in Hebrew and Greek scriptures the word murder. Exodus chapter 20, verse 13 is the primitive Hebrew work properly to dash in pieces, that is, especially to murder. For the Greek, we have Matthew 5:21, and it is from the root phonos, a murder, usage, I murder. The word path in Hebrew scriptures, as in Psalm 23, is egol or magal. Their meaning is a round trench, rut, or track, like that made by an ox treading out grain. What an ancient Hebrew would have seen in his or her mind was oxen pulling a grinding wheel. The understanding was that they were to walk out the cycles or circles of righteousness. These are represented in the Moedim, or feasts of Yahuwah. These feasts start and repeat in the month of Nisan. The word Easter in Acts 12:4 in the KJV should be Passover. KJV is not lining up with the Hebrew or Greek word, the Greek word Pasaka, the Hebrew word Moed, Passover. This would have been a simple translation. Why did the translators change it to Easter? Were they trying to be politically correct for King James? Some newer versions have fixed this error. The Aleph Tav Scriptures. This rediscovered character symbol has been hidden in plain sight from the beginning, starting with the original Paleo-Hebrew scrolls, written by the hand of Moshe and the prophets, then copied by the scribes for thousands of years thereafter into Babylonian and finally modern Hebrew. The Aleph Tav was not translated by the composers of the King James Bible because it was not considered a word but a mark. The second edition of the English Matt's version of the Tanakh is the final exhaustive rendition, which incorporates all of the Aleph Tav symbols into the English sentence structure, exactly where Moshe and the prophets originally placed them in the Hebrew scroll. In addition, this Matt's edition also focuses on the Aleph Tav in association with other single Hebrew letters as both prefixes and suffixes. The Matt's edition can be had at the AlephTavScriptures.com, and it's by William H. Sanford Jr. He has compiled this wonderful edition of the Tanakh. Its implications are another revelation of how our Yah and his true servants left us without excuse. There's also another recent version by Dr. Stephen Pidgeon, which also includes the restored names and 87 total books, including some disputed books of the canon, such as the Maccabees, the Jubilees, Enoch, and others. Also, this version is set up in a chronological order. You can see this Aleph Tav mark is represented in our own MKI Studios logo at the center of the burning heart. This topic is quite extensive, and we are looking into creating a full presentation of this Aleph Tav in the original Hebrew scriptures. So watch for an upcoming presentation on this subject. Here's an example, a perfect example of the placement of the Aleph Tav symbols. It is in the book of Ruth. Ruth's name is used 12 times in the book. The first 10 times there is no Aleph Tav symbol in front of her name. After she is redeemed by Boaz, the next 2 times her name is used, an Aleph Tav symbol is in front of her name each time. These are just 2 examples, but it seems quite obvious that the Aleph Tav symbol shows a connection of covenant relationship regarding the Yahed. In closing this bonus section, we would like to remind you that studying the scriptures and the ancient Hebrew language is an ongoing pursuit until we meet with our Messiah. A true believer is always studying and seeking the truth and revelation of our Redeemer's Word. Now, a couple of interesting facts as we close out this particular presentation. The basic origin of New Covenant writings. Half of the renewed covenant, the Brit Hadashah, was originally written in Hebrew, in Matthew, half of Luke, Acts, Hebrews, Peter, John, James, Jude, and Revelation. The books of the renewed covenant, the Brit Hadashah, originally written in Greek were Mark, half of Luke, John, and the epistles of Paul. The Greek texts were soon translated into Hebrew and compiled into a Hebrew gospel for Messianic believers. We have an update. It's from recent archaeological and linguistic evidence, and it reveals that the Jews of the renewed covenant, the Brit Hadashah era, spoke Hebrew, not Greek. With this revelation, we can conclude that the teachings of the renewed covenant were first conveyed in Hebrew, which means that the renewed covenant must be understood from a Hebraic perspective and not a Greek one. Some examples of this groundbreaking discovery can be found here. You will see on the screen the references for Dr. Miles Jones that we will include for you to see and visit, and you can hear and read and find out for yourselves what we have also found out. Dr. Miles Jones has earned 3 degrees in languages and linguistics, culminating in a doctorate from the University of Texas at Austin in 1985. He is the author of The Writing of God and The Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greece. He translated ancient inscriptions from Mount Sinai in Midian, Arabia, which speak of events straight from the pages of Exodus and provide physical proof of the Sinai covenant. He has uncovered the earliest manuscripts of the Gospels in Hebrew and authenticated their first century origin. He is researching and writing about the survival of the Hebrew Gospels and the Messianic Church. Romans 3:31, ISV with Hebrew meaning. Do we then abolish Torah by this faith? Of course not. Instead, we uphold the Torah. We hope that by presenting to you these few small examples, it will inspire you to begin to study the Scriptures in a whole new way and understand that the Old Covenant writings and the Renewed Covenant writings are bound together forever, and that the Hebrew meaning of words is far different than the English words we are used to. Till the next time, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. I'm Brother Mark, and we'll see you in the next episode.